outdated colors and furniture. Denise and Kathy Weiser, our center supervisor, with a lot of donated funds, a little bit of our budgeted money, we made a little bit go a long way with it, and they did a really phenomenal job on that. Also, because of our department staffing levels being what they are, we all kind of wear a lot of hats and do a lot of things. Pioneer Center staff frequently help out coordinating a lot of other recreation events. They get involved with the Concerts in the Park series. They mostly run the volunteer recognition program. One of the issues that are kind of out there is that, as you probably know, the trend is that our society is getting older. Our baby boomer impact, especially, and people are living longer. They're more active into ages that people didn't used to be, and therefore facilities like the other facilities that cater to aging adults and provide social services. There are some projections out there that we'll be watching closely that those are going to continue to be not only are they currently issues, but they're going to even be more issues and more impactful on operating facilities such as this. Our usage continues to go up, and we're not seeing a decrease in attendance. There's Kathy, our supervisor on the bottom right, with a group of happy folks that are, I think, on one of our really great trips that we do all over the place. We take a lot of outings. Go for the record. Jumping into our non-general fund budgets, parks development. This is our system development charges. That's pages 219 to 221. So we're jumping quite a way ahead of your budget books if you're following along. Our system development charges are SDCs. Those are the fees that we collect on new residential and commercial development. We currently collect about $3,500 on a new single-family residence, and that's paid at the time that the building permit is issued. As you well know, and Nancy will probably talk about a bunch of her SDC funds. We charge SDCs for a number of things, and they are used. SDCs are created and used for additional capacity. In this case, it's capacity for parks and open spaces. You'll find the trend if you're looking back a few years in our budget that our collection, our revenues have been down the last few years. That's because of obviously the downturn in housing and the economy starting to slowly pick back up again. What we also had in our trend of that in the budget is that we heavily expended. We had basically sort of banked those funds so that we could do some major projects. We heavily expended those the past 3 years. So we kind of spent down our fund, which was all on projects that were prioritized and have turned out great. And then our revenues are down, so they're starting to pick back up a little bit. For parks,
so this fund, though, those dollars are coming in and being used for obviously acquisition and development.
So either.
But you just said earlier, adding parks and
That's a catch. We have a high demand from our community for new facilities. We can't build on new ball fields or spray parks or whatever. Obviously, and that's an issue. It's a philosophical issue we've had, and so we really.
Is there restrictions to use these funds for operations?
There are. Very much so. So we can only use them for additional capacity for either acquiring new property, brand new park development, or adding new things into existing parks, new capacity like we both of these are great parks.
If I might add, what these SDCs are called in other states are impact fees, and so that kind of helps you think about it as paying for an impact caused by development.
Yeah,
so you know what I'm talking about. The other key is, though, it kind of points out the situation where cities can often have SPCs, but they don't often have a utility for maintenance. So that's a great catch, and I'm gonna make some of my notes to talk about that for next year. Maybe
Yes.
but that's the other side
Right,
of this
the flip
equation.
side, that you get that beautiful like Chapin or the Spray Park, and then next thing you get is you get where you folks for every 20 years, where alcohol is adding, the graffiti's coming, and then the police are there every night because there's problems, so that has to be addressed. And that's the other piece, I guess, if I jump back, is I'm looking, and I'm sure you folks keep it, the list of parks where there needs to be maintenance, what the cost is. I know you thought you could have time to keep track of what all the graffiti vandalism happening is, which parks is that primarily at? And I guess to close out back to the commission on how I'm going to address that, plus the operations. I mean, it's people use those facilities, so if we as citizens want to use them and have a nice place for our families, then we need to pay for it.
And a great point, that's making that connection with this, the SECs are so carefully regulated as to what they cannot be spent on maintenance. Almost every city that charges SEC, which many do, has this impacting problem. So in my professional association, a lot of our discussions, talking to colleagues, that's a constant issue for us. And I think really in our case, our potential best solution is our partner in the TCN, we're willing to go down that road. Just a couple slides with examples of new facilities or added on to facilities that we've done with our FCCs. We've been very fortunate to be able to build these facilities, and without our FCC fund, we would not be able to do this. These are also oftentimes we will go after grants, so we get kind of a one-to-one match where we put up our part of it for half of it, and then we'll get some type of grants that are available for development. So that's Westley Glen Park. That's our new Rivercrest Spray Park on 2 years. John Storm Park on the river and our Lime River Trail. And that's the acquisition of the new Glen Oak Road High School property that is about 9.5 acres, and we hope to develop someday, but right now we're just land banking. We don't have enough funding to do that. Very quickly, our cemetery endowment. This is simply a fund that was set up at some point and continues to sort of grow a little bit of interest. It can be used for some type of funding of cemetery operations. I think it was used some in the past, David, but right now we're just trying to let it sit because I think we've just got about 100,000. We have a Parks and Rec trustee fund. This is dedicated funding, or a dedicated fund that we can use for. It allows us to basically to channel fundraising and donations, and we can specify the programs and facilities that people want to identify when they make a donation. We've utilized this fund to do a number of improvements to the Pioneer Center, the pool, Hunter House, some of the projects here at this center. I mean, just talk about work from donations. Our staff here is specific fundraising in the channel that you decided. Parking fund, pretty straightforward. Parking operations, enforcement, mostly downtown and up here in our regulated parking areas. Also provides support for the code enforcement division, and also provides our funding for our trolley and shuttle operation. Review things like permits and zonings and so forth, those are all through code enforcement staff. Very small groups, so again, thank you very much for take back my comments. Now I can talk much longer. Our downtown parking study is a major issue in this fund that we need to look at. We completed that study last year, but it still has not been adopted, and thus our implementation is not beginning. I'm receiving a lot of communication from our downtown folks. Very interested in where we're going to get started on that. As that plan is implemented over time, not necessarily the initial steps, but longer term, additional staffing for enforcement will be needed. That is kind of accounted for within that plan, and I would think that we may be back next year in the budget process looking at at least one code enforcement officer but that is offset by funds that are generated from additional revenue. We'll talk about it in the next meeting about this, so we're gonna talk about that at a work session. And then, code enforcement division, again, very straightforward. This provides enforcement of our Oregon City Municipal Code, which we work closely with other city departments, especially our planning department, our police department, our neighborhood associations, businesses, community groups, and individual citizens. This division also coordinates the annual cleanup day, which was last weekend. We have a very heavy caseload, and we have very limited personnel. We have a manager, we have an office person, we have one full-time code enforcement officer dedicated just to doing general city code enforcement. We have a dedicated parking officer, but that's back in the previous slide. And we have several hundred open code enforcement cases at any given time, and that is all mostly driven on complaints, not being proactive. So if we were actually to go out with a different philosophy of, in other words, if the city desires to be more proactive, there has been some discussion on this with sign codes, things of that nature. It will definitely require some either additional staffing or reduction of the level of services we can provide. Stop doing something to do this, but most likely that means some kind of additional staffing. I'm not asking for that in this budget. This is just something that we need to be aware of. These are one of our colleagues that is also that program is going through our operations. And with that, that's my conclusion. Again, in summary, the proposed community services budget, we're not proposing, we're basically proposing a status quo budget, a continuation of the services that we provide, with the exceptions that I mentioned. We're not asking for new additions, but we do work hard with limited staffing and resources that we have to make the most of those operations. Do you have any questions?
Question. I hope you take seriously the discussion that for next year's budget that occurred with the awarding of the Oregon City Improvement Trust grants. Same discussions occurred a year ago, and the budget for this year wasn't changed to accommodate it. But I think the city cannot depend upon grants that reward to projects from outside the city, the own projects that in fact are operated by the city. And I think for the next budget cycle, you need to roll in most of the funds that you're getting from the OCCIT grant into the budget for next year. I feel really strongly about that, and the planning commission is that was equally as said as I was is going to be around. But the same issue came up last year, and of course, the funding was given, so that budget year was actually taken care of. That's the case this year. The OCCIT grant applies to this budget year that we're talking about. And I don't want to see that last year.
We, Commissioner Neely, I totally agree with you. We can definitely do that. That is not an issue. It's just more a sense of guidance from the budget committee. If the budget committee wants us to do that, we would be glad to do that. We can still do that for this proposed budget year. We haven't adopted the budget yet. So that's not an issue with management. That's just been more of this is what we've done traditionally, and we can certainly go forward in that direction. I do want to mention, since that OCCIT meeting, when those funds were awarded, it looks like, I can tell you that our donations and sponsorships are up significantly, partly from the legwork of our commissioners that have been helping us out, kind of knock on some business doors. And because of that, we will use less of the actual grant funds.
I'm more concerned about going to the next budget process. The grant is awarded, the less of that grant you can you can use, that's great, but, I'm talking about setting something in the policy.
However, just to counter that, that was up to the board review of the OCCIP, and it's one who, in my mind, the way concerts in the park versus fair the swimming pool, it's a priority thing, and I think it's a very appropriate place to go to a funding source that's grant, the grant budget is supposed to fund things that are, the community amenities, so there's definitely a difference in opinion on that issue.
Any other discussion or questions?
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've been here for almost 2 hours, so I would like to make a motion and second a motion myself. 15 minutes, where we need.
Thank you so much. I'm already recorded, library director. So, what was that again? Library director.
That was your name.
Oh, I don't know. I'm a little space. So this year, this is a brand new fund, and I want to start out by saying thank you so much to the taxpayers of Clackamas County for improving the library which allowed this to happen. And the district just started in July of 2009, right? Yeah, I'm getting my years mixed up. And then it just started receiving money actually a few months after that. So, the highlight from last year, that income allowed us to hire me, which was, got a qualified full-time director in-house for the first time in about 7 years, I think, Scott. And, with that, the library became its own department again, which is really great, and also came out from under community. So this would have been a really spot, one more duty, which we didn't have enough people for. That's for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Still trying to pass over the yeah. So, and then with the increased funding, we expanded to 7 days a week, and we're now open 2 hours a week. And I just want to report here that will increase this next year to 53 for sure. And we increased our staff, and we improved our technology quite a bit too, including adding wireless, which is something that's going over there. Our major goals for next year will be to continue investigating permanent homes for the library. Relocate the library will actually happen before the end of this fiscal year, but we'll transition through. And then, work on, if we purchase these, then work on the remodel and the renovation of that building, and adjust staffing to accommodate that relocation, as well as many other things. But this district is really interesting. The funds are really interesting in that we operate in the current year not defined, so we actually don't know how much. We're always estimating how much money is going to come in. So, like for instance, right now I am just working with a projection of what will come in this next fiscal year, and that will not be absolutely known in stone until next January. So we have minor adjustments and a little bit major adjustments along the way. So we can give you the projection of what's going to come in, but it's already been adjusted once after we've written down this budget. But it's, that's okay because I only spend what comes in, and I know I am advised of that regularly along the way. We have some major, the county makes some revisions in like October of every year. There's a population adjustment in November. There's a set value adjustment in November. And so as the year goes along, it just gets closer and closer to what the real amount of income will be, and we just do that along the way. It's generally just a small percentage. So like last year's budget, probably the difference will only be about $7,000 between what was projected and what will actually come in. So it's very, very close. That's just the district funds. Then we also include some money that we bring in as income through like fines and fees in our library. And I just want to note that now that we know we're going to the Carnegie next year, we won't quite have the same pattern of circulation, and so
the fees that I projected out for next year could be reduced. And so I'll be keeping my eye on that as we go along. And then finally, let's see here. Oh, and then our other source of income is the general fund, but let me go through quickly. Okay, so, the other thing to know is that when I planned this proposed budget for this year, everything was even more up in the air than what it is now, which is only slightly improved. But Larry said, well, then just write 2 or 3 budgets. And then I said, well, what if I just kind of like heavily pad some of the, guesstimate areas where I think my expenses might be if such and such happens. And then the thing that's really superb about this budget is that because it's a district and because it's dedicated funds, if it doesn't get spent, it just rolls over into the next year when, such a time that, maybe then those expenditures will be needed. So, this year, the income that will be carried over to next year's budget is, we predict about $400,000. That's a little mushy because we don't know exactly what our expenditures will be, of course. And that's listed separately on page 114, down near the bottom of the column for the proposed 2010-2011 budget. The prediction of the funds coming in from the district only is $1,829,000. After speaking to our district person today, I already know that prediction is a little bit off by about, pardon? Yeah, that's too high. So we just work. And then as I said, the library fines will probably go down as well. So I'm already kind of like making a list of mental adjustments as to where I need to watch my expenditures. The good thing is that we're still in a state of learning. Well, we're just in total transition here. This is a new situation for the library to have this much money, number one, but we're also moving from one building into another building and then potentially another building after that. So our rents, our staffing, everything is in flux. And so it's just kind of hard to know what to expect and how to extend it. But because we do have quite a bit of buffer from what we had before, I think we're in good shape. So next year is about $165,000 increase from the district funds from last year, and that is because we needed to account for some delinquencies that we hadn't made a provision for in the past budget. This is like kind of a one-time bump that will be that big. From here on out, we'll continue to get the delinquencies, but it won't be, it will just be kind of like this is a baseline from here on out. So we aren't going to be getting $165,000 more dollars every year. In other words.
Yeah, is that the district fund?
That's the district funds, yes. That's those are district funds.
I was going to ask you because I see here $60,000 in library fees. Is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm not. Well, they are in a different way. The delinquencies is I think what they are money coming in through the district to assess their tax payments. So there's a little bit prior year. Yeah, from the prior year thing. Yeah. So that eventually comes to us. Those fines could be close now, but that's like a good question. So let's see. So what I did for next year was, because I don't really know what my staffing situation is going to be, I have somebody that retired this year, and I just basically took her salary out of the budget and then kind of left everything the same. And there's enough cushion in there with how I might reorganize that I should be fine with the salary. I doubled equipment under $5,000 so that we could buy some laptops and do that self-tech thing I was telling you about, that kind of stuff. So no matter where we were located, we could like purchase some new equipment. The lease, I actually, it's on this paper we on here, on page 115. The lease is listed at $154,500, and that's the same as this last year. It turns out that we've always kind of over budgeted that a little bit. Our actual lease was about $132,000 a year. But that's like a built-in cushion that, since I don't know what, we, at one point in time, we're potentially gonna have to leave space. So I knew I had to keep a bunch of money in there for potential lease. If you don't spend it, then fine. It can help go towards operating costs or remodeling costs or whatever. Or it can even like go towards part of the capital, thing, do a closing or whatever. But I left it in there as kind of like it had to be earmarked at the time that I created the budget. Let's see. Considering the possibility that we might go into Eastham, and I wasn't quite sure when, I wanted to up my maintenance costs substantially because it's quite a bit bigger of a building. So I increased that by 4 times to accommodate the size of that building. It's about 4 times as big as what we've been living in. And then contract services, that line item typically has only been used for like our cleaning, our professional cleaning services. But I know that if we are going to go in a situation where we're actually remodeling something and, entering into a sales agreement, there will be all kinds of contractual needs that I don't have. So I bumped that up quite a bit too. In addition, I added capital outlay there on the bottom for replacement of infrastructure and new equipment because I didn't know what I'd be getting into as far as using shellfish and that kind of thing. Yeah, that's what. And that itself, like, if we're going to be in the Carnegie next year, if we don't have a lot of space, we may not extend that completely. Now, then again, when we move into the Eastham and we want to have like a nice, really add some new books to our collection, we may fully extend. So the timing of some of these is a little tricky.
What's the difference in square footage between where you're at and Eastham?
Where we're at is 13,000 square feet, and Eastham is, the entire building is 48,000 square feet, but the plan is not to use the entire building for the library. We would remodel potentially about 17,000 square feet, and then use some of the other space for meeting rooms, the administrative offices, whatever. But maybe up to like 20,000 square feet.
Probably not a fair question for each of you. Has the city done capital improvement for a new library?
Yeah, they've done some planning throughout the years that has not come to fruition, and it was estimated that a 35,000 square foot library would cost about $12.5 million. So it's kind of ballpark. 48.6. Yeah, 35 is less than according to Library Association standards that we should be at. We have a service area of about 58,000, which includes 30,000 for Oregon City and then an unincorporated area. And so, according to Oregon Library Association standards, we should be at about 33,000 square feet. So, we'd be in a building that would be bigger than what we are supposed to be at, but we wouldn't be using the entire building. So, but it's good. It's good there. A lot of growth potential, especially sitting on the creative as it goes. Yeah. So, let's see, okay, and then the other income that we have available to us is listed on page 202, and this is a commitment from the city for money to go into a building reserve fund. And this year, those funds were in the amount of $191,005, and then next year they'll be in the amount of $196,145. So that will give us a total of $389,145, which would be great to go towards the capital of the project. So I just have one more thing to finish, and I just wanted to let you know of the goals that we need in doing this, and some of you guys have already heard some of these goals. Building a sustainable future. I think that reusing the Eastham and re-envisioning that lot goes towards the goal. Also reusing the Carnegie is in a way a very sustainable thing. Implementing economic development, locating the library Eastham might, include some redevelopment of that lot. And that might look represent the 7th Street corridor. Obviously, I'm working on addressing critical facility needs at this week and retail. Having a library definitely enhances the livability of the community. Being the R&D, as we just discussed, kind of reduces some of the ability to provide services to our community and library services, but we're going to do as much as we can to make that as good as we can, even to the point of having like programs here at the Pioneer Center, you know, we need to do this so close. So we're using other resources in the city. Increasing communications, I just want to tell you, I'm starting to learn a lot of neighborhood associations, so I'm doing my part to increase communication. And maintaining physical health, well, moving into the party, because it's quite really nice. Definitely that will be spending on ways. And purchasing the e-sum, if we do that, we would be able to do that, at least initially, without requiring a law, which is one of the reasons that I do that as well. So I'm really excited. So, any questions?
It's probably because of uncertainty, but I believe there's a commitment to the county for $1 million to capital improvement. I noticed that's not listed here, but I presume that comes into play once we've got something to capitally improve.
Exactly, you're right. Well, our money is kind of on a staggered schedule as to when each of the cities and the counties receive their money. And we're supposed to receive our money in January of 2011. And what they want us to do is kind of like create a proposal to show them how we would extend it, and then when they have it, they give it to us. So first we have to sign our intergovernmental agreement that says, you know, we agree that this is what we get and what they get is out of the library business, and then, you know, we can go on from there. But yes, absolutely.
And the general fund commitment, of course, can also be used, I presume, for capital improvement.
That's right, that's exactly
And
what
the lease piece that you have in your budget here, can that be or not be directed to capital improvement?
It's my understanding that it can be.
So you
Yeah.
actually have a fair amount of funds that can be used for capital.
Yeah, actually, this is pretty squishy, as you know, but today as I was going over my, on the regs again there. There's only 5, but I get lost in okay. So, with what I have built into the budget and accounting for some adjustments that I know I already need to make, which reduces my income, plus the $1 million from the county, I have, depending on how everything gets spent, how expensive things are going to be, but I knew that's right. I didn't mean
This is his method of getting close.
yeah,
I have to smooth all that over.
Yeah,
but usually when I take from you, so
so I have, I think, as I said, it's pretty squishy, but close to $2 million. So one from the county and one from like everything that I can put together to get towards like a remodel.
Is that within the year, or is that extended over a couple of years?
Well, that's this year and next year. Well, I mean, the year that we're in and the next year. And, yeah, and I haven't like gone out past that. But, like I said, that could be like reduced really, really quickly with certain costs, you know what I mean?
Now, I will say that I felt some hairs on my back when you say we wouldn't need a bond yet, and I'm not sure what you meant by that.
Well, what I mean by that is that the library will only be able to afford to remodel a portion of the building. There's like no way with everything that I can put together, you know, with the county money and my money, that I could remodel the entire lot and the entire building. It's just too massive. So down the road, once we get in and once we like, if that's where we go, then, you know, get in there, get settled, and then come up with phase 2 of a plan. Is kind of the idea. And hopefully we can make partners in the city, I don't know. So who wants to go now? This will be a bit bad, okay? Just remember it's really old. Yeah. So if I've got maybe just another building, it's really old.
And the other problem with that is the traffic flow.
Right.
It's horrible.
Absolutely, yes. I think we identified two of the major expenditures.
So, cutting much of the facility, it's horrible. So, from a library standpoint, and, it's, needs to be addressed across the street. So, and I think if we're gonna do something that big, obviously the commissioner's office will be a huge part of that. It's just so big, that building, that you need to partner with other state departments or county or something. It's just too, I think it's too big for us as far as the whole facility without.
She's going to, these part of the building back to Tony, get back to money, but she's going to have to pay them for
People may not understand what we're joking about here.
Well, the building, that parcel of land will have to be rezoned for the library to use it.
No, I meant the part about the fact that the community development currently is in leasing space.
Oh,
And so if we were able to bring them into part of the library facility, we would be able to decrease that.
How much you've been increasing on them? Just increasing.
That's my favorite thing you're farming. Well, the sales agreement is at $4 million.
Any other questions? Community development, Mr. Conklin.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Tony Conklin, Community Development Director. So if we can turn to page 124, we'll start with, under community development, we have geographic information systems, IT, planning and building. Under the same budget, we have GIS and planning. GIS started out years ago as putting together mapping systems for planning and putting together our zoning and comprehensive plan designation trees and whatnot. And our GIS department has done an excellent job throughout the years of growing that. And GIS has actually expanded into becoming more of a IT service for the whole city, providing services to multiple departments, citizens, linking up information with other regional partners such as the state, Metro Adams County. A lot of coordination is going on and consolidating and coordinating the way data is transferred and points and how it's presented. So this year, as you may have heard discussed earlier, David Knoll, our IT manager, has been split half-time with IT for the general fund and half FTE remaining in community development, where he was a full-time community development FTE last year. So that's one change you should see. In the GIS department, we've also proposed to promote the GIS analyst to the GIS coordinator. He's taken on much more role running GIS, mapping, and coordinating for community development. And then David Knoll, the IT manager, has taken on more of a role transitioning from that GIS management to more IT for the whole city. And our GIS coordinator has historically been half FTE with community development and half FTE with public works, and that would maintain that setup with this budget as well. And you'll see the increase in office equipment costs under the expenditures. Historically, some of these costs were under contract services, and this includes website maintenance with the provider AHA, which on the internet, and website design and maintenance, GBO web extensions, which is a program which we utilize throughout the cities with public works for coordinating street improvements, tracking size of infrastructure, when it was replaced, when it was need to be replaced, that type of information, work orders are in place, and then annual maintenance and licensing. So you'll see that office equipment costs on page 125, you see it's almost 18%. So working with David, we've taken some of those services, put them into this new office equipment line item. to consolidate it. And then you're seeing more, IT infrastructure needed in order to update our current systems that we have, maintain the technology and keep improving it, keep moving forward with our web design, making it more user-friendly for both citizens and staff. So these are some of those costs that you are seeing in this GIS budget there. Under the service contracts, contract services, you see an increase in that as well. And this is to support server development, about $25,000 for a new GIS server. We do need a new server to support the amount of applications that we are running in the city, as well as web development and integration with some data regional data that I was talking about earlier. As part of this proposal, GIS is primarily driven with transfers of funds from other departments that utilize the services. It does not have a significant revenue generator. So the revenue that you generate is the sale of maps and whatnot. It's very minimal in that budget. So we are requesting a $91,000 general fund transfer to balance the GIS. On page 128, we get into community development, and this is our planning department. We provide current planning, which would be subdivisions that come in that are being proposed for development, new construction of office buildings, remodel of office buildings, industrial buildings, any development that you're going to see that's going to take place within the next year and a half to 2 years is what we consider current development. They come into the land use application fee, we run it through the land use process, prepare conditions of approval. We also do long-range planning, which you will see with some of the concept plans we've done, the code rewrites that we're currently in the process of bringing forward to the city commission. We also provide quite a several services. We have a front counter space that's open from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. 5 days a week. We do answer via phone calls and email with the staff that we do have. As part of this budget, we propose to reduce the full-time employments in the planning department from 5.94 to 4.13. What that primarily includes is the economic development. A position that was historically under community development has been transferred over to the general fund, so that's 1 FTE. And then the position that I previously held we're not filling, we're not proposing to fill. We propose to promote our assistant planner to a planner position. As part of this budget, we've also requested a 0.5 FTE. It'll end up being a 1 full-time FTE split between planning and building. We'll open the same building over on Malala. We do not have any administrative front desk help. So we are proposing an administrative assistant for the front desk to help with the phones, customer service, running the office, so that can free up our permit tech, our permit coordinator who currently share that duty at the front desk, while still trying to process permits that come in daily through the building department. Yes. Our revenues, we are starting to see a slight rebound in residential development. Commercial development is still well below normal. In March of this year, we saw 29 housing starts in Oregon City. That's the most housing starts we've had since January 2007. That may be due to first-time homebuyer credit that's due to run later this summer. We're starting to see some properties being picked up off foreclosure and folks moving forward, and just the ability to start to get financing for some of these lots that we do have out there. I think that the revenue budgets that we propose for planning as well as building are conservative. We assumed in planning that one of 3 major projects would come online after July of this year, that being the Housing Authority of Clackamas County up in Park Place, the Rivers Project for Sequoia development out in Glencoe by the high school. So we've assumed one of those coming online in the 2010-2011 fiscal year revenue projections. We are running a little bit ahead of our projections in terms of development for this year, so we are hoping that we are underestimating a little bit on that revenue. One problem with planning as opposed to building With our building department, when we get into big projects, they actually collect quite a bit of revenue. Each one of those projects will bring in between $75,000 and $150,000 for that project. The planning department, we're much more limited in the fees that we can collect for the land use application. We're limited by the actual cost to process the application is the average. We tend to use the average to process an application, whereas building has a little more flexibility in the fees that they charge. So our fees, while these loans are helpful, they will not close the gap that we have in general fund subsidy that we are requesting. The amount of money we bring in with the land use application is much less than what you get with the full fund application. From the community development side, as I said, we are proposing to reduce the FTEs in our department. We've tried to maintain or reduce costs across the board for material services. We do have a slight increase in costs for personnel, health insurance and salary increases. Under other costs, under material and services on page 129, we did consolidate all of our planning commission and historic review board transfers that need to be created, AV Tech fees that we need to charge for those to be taped and broadcast into one fund, so that's why you see that 77% increase in that line item. And then under contract services, you see a 316% increase under material services on page 129. That increase is due to historically, we've received a Metro grant, $10,000, we used to match it with $5,000. So that would be $5,000 for community development, which was part of the general fund subsidy. And then this year we did receive a $20,000 certified local government grant from the state, but that requires a matching $20,000 to that. There's $55,000 in grants right there, of which $30,000 of that is from outside agency. That was our expenditure, so we would expend. The certified local government grant would most likely be distributed over 2 years. So it's a 2-year project, so some of that is going to be held over this year and forward to next year's budget. That one will be for doing updating our local inventory of our historic properties in the city, and then as we go through that, if we can identify some homes that would like to be designated on the historic register, if they're willing participants, we would do a more in-depth study of those buildings and start that. If you did remove that $55,000 from that line item, we would actually be holding that steady as well. We also do pay about $120,000 in rent for the facility that we're at. $77,000 coming from our building fund and the remainder from our development fund. Community development is asking for a $503,000 subsidy this year versus $592,000 last year, and $86,000 in fund balance this year. We are trending lower than that this year, so we do start to see a little bit more development. It will reduce our community development subsidy. It will not reduce the deficit. Another thing with community development and planning is that the fees we collect for current planning, the processing of subdivision, as I said earlier, needs to reflect the work that we do for current planning. We can't charge extra and use that money to pay for long-term planning. So, in a sense, we do not have a revenue source for long-term planning in our agency. That's where some of that general fund, I think, is important. We'll continue to work on demonstrating the services that we do provide outside of the current planning revenue in terms of customer service, code enforcement, long-range planning projects, and whatnot to help justify some of that subsidy revenue that we are requesting.
I took my release committee.
It's used paying on page 129, $35,231. 6-1 down.
Yeah, you said $109,000.
Well, that's planning.
Oh,
portion
because
of
you,
the
okay.
77.
Got it. And then the other thing, on the school excise tax, today, the actual this year is $170,000, you've only budgeted $115,000 for the future.
Well, yes, in December, we weren't sure where, but it's a pass-through,
Right, no, I understand.
so.
Yeah,
But it got-
okay.
And you'll notice on the revenue side, where the school excise tax, that will match whatever.
Right,
the
yeah,
rest
that's-
is, so.
I know, the gas station failed last year, and we're gonna, I think we're gonna set up a smaller. But why is that not coming with?
The contract services detail contract plan?
Your concept plan is just not funded.
Oh, we're done with that. So we did 2 planning processes, Parksville's concept plan and Beaver Creek, when they were brought in to use the Beaver Window Foundry. And, so those concept plans are done. So we went, it's a line item left over.
So, just so I understand, the revenue and the expenditure side. On the community development fund, you show the revenue at $1,140,000, expenditure side about $904,000. Is the subsidy brought into that? The difference, you're talking about a $500,000 subsidy.
You need to both GIS and ODOT.
Okay.
So the 236,000 from GIS is pulled into the 940,000.
All right.
And that would be so I was giving you the subsidy breakdown of, community development is 412,000, and then, GIS was, 91,000.
Okay.
Together, you're 502,000.
We also, now, we're gonna make a proposal that we increase that subsidy by 37,930. We're doing government whole budget. We have 37,930 going from government whole every year. You're not doing all of it. This Dan is, guys, what we'll be proposing is to increase that subsidy, 37,930 shows up for the drinking rule, go to zero. We have offset by increase in insurance fund subsidy. There's nothing like left in the rule. Any other questions, comments?
Yeah, just in terms of the basically we're talking about that, we kind of looked, it goes until when?
10-year lease, I think we're in year.
And then we looked into how the process was breaking that in the near future, possibly, I mean, if things happen, we have an ability to move out of there. Do you remember, I mean, I hope that that's still on the table and that we're thinking about that, planning for that. And maybe a year away, obviously, or so, but definitely something that we don't want to forget.
No, and no, there's some,
And I just can't remember the answers that we got when Mary was here about that. And then we looked into what would happen if we broke that at some point. And I think I don't remember the answer, but do you remember it?
I know that there's some language in there that leads and prevents us from breaking that lease once we move into a new city office. There's some ambiguous language in there that we need to work with. So we follow up with that.
That was a huge mistake. A huge mistake. Alright. Thank you.
Any other questions?
So our building department is responsible for inspecting all residential, industrial, and commercial buildings in Oregon City. Through this downturn, we've had both of our building inspectors certified to do residential plumbing inspections. So you'll see an increase in the permit fees that we bring in for residential plumbing inspections. Historically, what we did is we contracted that out to Clackamas County, and we pretty much did a pass-through. We used the county inspectors, we took in the permit fees, and we passed that through. So for all residential development, the city is now using our inspectors, so that's the increased revenue that you'll see on the revenue side of the building. Once again, for the building department, they are driven historically. They have been able to been driven off of permit fees. As far as in 2007, we had $1 million surplus in that department, which with the move to the new facility and just the downturn that we've seen, we've burned through almost all that reserve money that was built up. We're also seeing that with this new coming out of this recession, where historically we were seeing homes, single-family residential homes built around 2,500 square feet. You're now seeing them in the 1,700, 1,800 square feet. We're still doing the same number of inspections for each single-family home of around 33 inspections, but our revenues are based off of square footage. So we are starting to see, while there's good percent more homes come in, the revenues being generated from those homes is less, so you'll see some increased revenue from there. When we approve something through the planning, through the land use process, they then go to our engineering department, and it usually takes 6 months to a year till you start pulling building permits, whether it be for 600 residential in a new subdivision or commercial development on Malala Avenue. So you see those fees generated by that building permit trailing to development. So in the revenue proposals for building, we assumed 1 of 4 projects coming online. We assumed that the Cove Apartments, Housing Authority Clackamas Community College, Sequoia, on Glen Oak, or the Rivers project coming in. And those fees associated with that, for the building department, as it is covered, would be anywhere from $75,000 to $215,000. So we could get 1 or 2 of those in, you would see. Well, we assume that none of them come in. Well, it was in December, it wasn't all in December.
I did say 1 or 3.
So, okay, we crossed the rivers off, we're at 1 and 3. And Sequoia was just put out of foreclosure, we've met with those, so we think that's probably a real estate one.
It's funny you mentioned Sequoia, but I haven't heard any mention of what impact possible the Anderson property in the city are going in.
The question would be if they can get their building permits in this fiscal year, in 2010, since we don't have a land use application at this time.
They hope by the end of the month. That's what they told us.
I don't have it in December. I didn't have an application.
Who's us?
The Homedale Neighborhood Association had a presentation by Safeway Architects. They had hoped that they would have a package ready by the end of this
Some of you have one out of reading that.
But my head is that Safeway is probably more sure bet.
Hard to say. It's very, very difficult to say. Or the library.
You also look like a poker player.
So in this budget, we held the positions. We did propose 1/2 additional FTE for the administrative help, entry-level positions with front counter that would be split with the planning department. Reduced overall materials and services by 13%. We did say earlier we got about $77,000 per year for rent for our facility. We are requesting $304,000 general fund transfer, with a $45,000 being fund balance. And hopefully we can spend more than that in the year.
Question for you, on your, you cited a meeting, so $130,000 came to the city for every single county building, something like that. And earlier I asked about system growth charges, and you said that number was $21,000. So I'm assuming that the remainder permitted?
So the numbers I was giving you were very large numbers. So we charge a system development charge for parks, water, sanitary, sewer, lights. That adds up to between $19,000 and $22,000 per single family home. Then on top of that, we have building inspection fees for every single family house. So for these instances, Sequoia is approximately 300 housing units, and that would be approximately $95,000 for all 300 permits. So, I don't have the exact permit fee per house.
Well, one, you said $1,800 for a single family. What's that lower than that? Because it, system development charges permit fees.
I have to get back to you on the single on the basis. I think I know the SBC is going to be in that 19,000.
25 to 30 grand. 25 to 30 grand total. And square footage.
I was talking this whole project, we did just ballpark anywhere from Sequoia's 300 units, housing authority, outside of this business.
So one thing that was lot prices coming down with your foreclosure, other items that they can build and keep it in the 200 to 250 price point, we're gonna see where it goes.
That's primarily what we're seeing right now, is a lot smaller square footage, right at that 4,000.
You said you were increasing the cover staff, is that correct?
What we're requesting is an administrative assistant for the front counter. Right now, we use either one of our permit coordinators to staff the front counter. If the permit coordinator is not available or sick or out on vacation, we use one of our planners or one of our claims examiners to man the front counter. It's an expensive use of that resource, as well as providing just a consistent face at the front desk. You have the primary duty would be to answer phones, answer email, build the management that handle the mailings, so they can free up our staff to do what they're supposed to be doing in terms of taking in permits, getting in process, getting in our computer system, running claims, applications, HR, historical report, planning commission. It's asking a lot of our staff.
Is the intention to put that in place as the permits start going up, and put that in place no matter what? You got a watchdog behind it is standing in, if the permits are down, why increase count staff? Of course, you're not increasing the number of people at the counter, but you are increasing the budget to cover.
We are very low. If we pick up, we will be struggling in planning, and building department will be it takes substantial amount of time and effort to need all the financing for maintain. We've got 30 to 35 inspections per year that allows to come in, either mail, or counter, internet, email, or our baseline. This department has historically been drastically understaffed, and in my opinion, it's not a very good resource of available staff that is sitting on the counter and phone calls and counter questions, because they still do come in. We have seen a drastic increase in inquiries at the front counter.
Do you have a question or comment?
What course of construction?
You got that here tonight. Nancy's has a whole bunch of funds, so.
I have had an ex parte conversation with her, she assures me she can go through everything.
Is that even what you're doing, or presents, 3 minutes?
Directions page. And for our department has historically done is provided you with a summary of all the staff and it shows how we fund various different positions. They split up in more small departments. But just in summary, we have like budgets, the funds we're going to go over tonight and that are in the budget and the development services, which is an engineering budget that reviews new development, they will hand in hand with planning. And they have 3.15 FTEs. The street fund, which takes our water streets, has 8.5 FTEs. The water fund has 12.5 FTEs. Sewer fund is 7.63 FTEs. The stormwater, which we couldn't have the city commissioner works with the other night, has 9.5 FTEs, and the total that being is 41.35, and it's very strange to have 0.35 people, but this also covers our summer help, and we really love to put summer interns on our staff. I think last summer we had about 3 or 4, this summer we're going to have 4 or 5, because these are usual students in the engineering department, and they're tremendous help. They help us keep up on all of our mapping and that kind of thing. And John Lewis also hires at least a couple in each of the utility divisions to help with maintenance during the summer too. It's good training for the employees, and it's a great help for us. So in development services, that is your first budget called engineering group, which is a little bit of a misnomer, but that's okay. This is, like I mentioned, it's Clausen's 3.15 FTE group, so they have an engineer, a technician, and an inspector. And their total budget is, this year's $464,000. They provide inspection services, they review all of the development review for public works infrastructure, and in 0910, while it sounds kind of good at 50 land use applications in the design plans, that's actually very low, and that probably covers a lot of very, very small applications. Business has been way down in that department, as we've already discussed for Tony's department, and but it's tidy. I mean, it's a very tidy department, and we're able to be very flexible with our design review because we contracted out to a civil engineering firm to do the actual review of all the plans, although we also route it within public works. And one of the things you'll see us bringing to you this early next budget year is to adopt the new low-impact design stormwater manual. And then the next fund in the budget, which is the street fund, that has a budget total this year of about $1.6 million. And I think everybody knows that all the money that you see there is used to run our crew and maintain street signs, legends, markings, guardrails, anything that you see in the right of way, including city-owned streetlights, walks, rails, street trees, landscape medians. We take care of and manage the municipal elevator. We do routine maintenance of the Amtrak station, and then we also are charged with the hanging basket program, managing it, hanging banners, holiday decorations, traffic control for parades, emergency road conditions. There's just a whole lot of different tasks that this group does. And then they also manage the pavement maintenance program, which is something that they are very excited about and really, really appreciate the Commission's adoption of that utility fee. It'll be 3 years ago now. The next, and then of course we should just stop if you have questions. Otherwise I'll go asking that. The next budget is the water utility, and that is our biggest monetary utility. It's probably, I'm never going to say that one utility is more important than the other, but having safe drinking water, and I think that is
just one of those most important things you have in your life is to have clean water to drink and to have come out to shower every morning. That's when I like it. So I mentioned about a $7.6 million budget for the water fund this year. Of that, about $1.4 million is what we purchased water for South Park. And these guys, you probably see them out there all the time. They're often flushing fire hydrants. They are doing in-house pipeline replacements. One of the other really important things you probably don't see is the water quality monitoring. And in all of our reservoirs and pipes, there are strict EPA compliance regulations that I believe that you saw some of the results of when we had a few hits of not very good lead in our water. We had to go through this huge monitoring program, but we have we've passed that. We've succeeded in showing the state that our water's fine. But that's an ongoing, everyday activity to make sure we're compliant with the state. Then we also have the cross connection and backflow inspection program. That's for, I hope that nobody gets those little hangers that say you haven't, have you inspected your backflow devices for your irrigation system? And if you haven't, please do. Because that's another really important thing for the safety of the water, the quality of the water that you have to drink.
And so what kind of revenue does that provide the city?
The backflow inspection program is just funded by the water fund. We don't, there isn't a separate fee that we charge for that. Then there's also hydrant flushing, valve maintenance. You've got to make sure your valves are working properly. And you saw that one slide that David had. That was like my favorite slide of the night. Just sitting there grinding duck line inside the floor, boards and valves. Seriously, we have a lot of really old valves too, and you know, we really have to make sure they're able to turn them so you can shut them and open them when you need to.
Guys, that's a question for you. I mean, you talked about your monitoring devices at the reservoir. How many house services are still lead pipe and still have potential lead problems at the
How many houses in Oregon City have lead pipe in them? Oh, okay, I don't really answer that question. Probably lots of older ones.
And is the period of time water goes through, can lead still be a problem in certain households?
I think what's important is you flush your pipes before you actually take water to use either for drinking or cooking out of them. And the water that's
There was all the conservation measures that we were talking about.
The other thing, of course, we also, a very important part of what we do is to respond to leaks and water main breaks. This winter, when we had all that temperature fluctuation, oh my gosh, we had probably 20 or 30 calls a day of people with leaks, and they were getting their garages flooded, this, that, or the other. So our crews made a very concerted effort to provide as much service as possible in those situations. We don't care what side of the meter it's on, we just try to help them fix the situation. We will be cleaning and painting Henry's Reservoir this year. And then the other thing that you'll see in all of the utility funds is transferring money to a building fund for phase 1 of the Public Works Center plan that we all went through the rigorous master plan this spring, winter, center to get the land use approvals. And then, interestingly enough, in water, we are supporting the general fund with a $376,000 franchise fee and then a $100,000 transfer for administration for the work that all of the general fund people do to keep the water fund and all business. The next slide. The one thing you probably noticed in all of these funds and even in the SECs, we have been such an active we've had such an active capital project endeavor in the last 8 years. And in system development charges, we don't have to do the money's running out because of the rapid development, and we haven't seen the revenues that we had in five years ago. But we've also accomplished some very, very large capital projects, such as all of the Mountain View Reservoir work. And we did a series of, 4 new sanitary sewer pump stations in the last 5 years, and that's pretty incredible. So we're really catching up on our capital improvement programs in sewer and water. There's always the annual pipeline replacements that have to be done, especially thanks to for miners. We did a lot of old infrastructure too. Unfortunately, not everything looks like that gorgeous with pipes and stuff put in the ground. So there's a lot of smaller projects. This year you won't see any. We actually will have a quieter town in terms of construction in the next couple of years. And one of the reasons as well is because we're kind of staffed out too. With Alicia's working on the drug handle project, that's more than a full-time job for her. And then we've got our other 2 engineers working on these smaller works projects. And so I just want you to know that you won't see quite as much road construction. And we've done so many huge projects like 7th Street, Mobile Avenue, Beaver Creek Road, McLaughlin. So now we're kind of in the, let's build up the coffers again, let's get our master plans updated, and do some of the smaller projects catching up. And then we're actively seeking funding for some of our active projects too. And we'll talk more about that a little later. The sewer fund, that is about a $6.8 million fund this year. And primarily, there's another active group. There's pipe cleaning, inspection, control, grease control, inflow and infiltration abatement to try to reduce the amount of flow in the pipe and try to reduce the potential for surcharges in the manholes, and also to try to reduce our load at Tri-City. Then we have about 18 pump stations, and those require regular operations and maintenance to avoid failures. And so that's regularly. And then the other thing the crew does is any kind of emergency response. And unfortunately, we've had a couple of the last couple of years, I think, was in the canyon overflow, and then the piece of wood in the sewer line in Camino were really bad experiences, but we were there to fix the problem when it happened. That's another fund where we have annual small works budgets that we do for pipe replacement, manhole repairs, etc. And we're still doing a little bit of sewer and storm separation in Oregon City. Primarily it's been completed, but we keep running across sections of the old town where we still have connections to either vice versa. And we work hard on getting those separated. And then in sewer fund, we have franchise fee about $160,000 to the general fund and $100,000 to general fund administration. Next is our storm drain utility.
Does each one of your utilities pay into the business?
Yes. No, not the payment. We're fixing the streets, not putting utility in the streets. The next one is the storm drain fund, and that's at about a $2.3 million budget this year. I'd say that in addition to all the pipe cleaning, inspection, and we've got like 140 detention ponds of water quality facilities which take regular maintenance, and we've got some 400 catch basins. We try to clean every single one of them every other year. It's amazing how much stuff collects in those catch basins. And that's something that we can really do to improve water quality that ends up going into the river. One of our big charges really is complying with our National Pollution Discharge Elimination System, NPDES MS4, Municipal Separate Storm Sewer Permit. And as we talked at the City Commission meeting the other night, we are going to be receiving a new permit, hopefully this fall. And that will have quite a few additional requirements that we didn't have before. So we'll be getting going on all of those requirements. So there's kind of, you've got the technical side of the stormwater fund, which is all the water quality issues and the permit compliance. And then you've got our operations and maintenance, which is the daily cleaning and fixing and that kind of thing, tightening culvert repairs, that kind of thing. So in this fund, we have a franchise fee of $93,000 this year and a $20,000 general fund administration fee.
And finalized and looking for a low impact construction design standard and stormwater management. That actually a process under that. Do you
Well, what that'll be is basically, we're gonna have this new manual, and so we'll just be making sure that new development is following the, recommended, procedures, and,
what I'm asking too is the cost for the development of the manual.
Oh, the cost of the development manual, that was actually funded this last year, and, I think I'll try to get back to you on that, Jim. I don't think I have any of that detail in my spreadsheets that you gave me. And actually, yeah, I think most of that was funded out of stormwater SDCs anyway, because it's primarily targeted at new development. When we do our retrofit study through the permit, then we'll be coming up with a list of these retrofits for testing for existing systems.
Those design standards, are they being done through a consultant?
Yes.
Who's the consultant expert for that?
The next fund, which actually was earlier in your book, I'm sorry, I did it out of order, is the pavement maintenance utility, and that's back on page 153. This one, it's really pretty straightforward. We have two basic types of treatments that we usually have our preventative maintenance treatment, which tends to be slurry seals, and then we have more of a reconstruction, which is a much longer term pavement rehabilitation, which is overlays, inlays, complete reconstructs, that kind of thing. We're actually putting in new inches of asphalt. And this year, this is our third year. We started to accrue enough money to put together some pretty big reconstruction projects, although there's still to do large projects like Division Street. We don't have enough in the bank. So one thing we're looking at is how can we strategically budget for the big projects or do them in phases. And also, we're going to be really strategically looking at getting our underground utility work done. I mean, we always try to do that, but now we've got our water pipeline, annual water pipeline replacements, and there's a number of stormwater pipe replacements and repairs that need to be made. There's a lot of old pipe, and these are ones where we're going to try to get our. We had a 5-year plan or a 3-year plan for the pavement maintenance utility fund. We've accomplished a good share of that, and we do have our annual report drafted, and I told the guys to have it ready for tomorrow night. So, but we can send it out in an email form, and we'll get all the time. And we'll also have the annual report, which will go on our website. But the bottom line is, we're trying, like even this year with our water line replacements, we wanted to do Claremont, because those waters were always missing breaks in the Claremont area, and it also needs paving. So we're going to go ahead and do the water lines, and then that'll be ready next year for paving. What we'd like to do even better, this is what I told them, this is what our goal really is, to have them timed at the same summer, so we don't have any trench repairs, and strictly get the utilities to the ground, and then leverage those utility trench repairs for the pavement overlay. So that program is coming along really well, and John Lewis and Jim Birch, they're really managing that utility and the planning very well. I can assure you that they're doing a really good job of that. So we have about $150,000 scheduled for these preventative maintenance slurry seals. And we're also getting some feedback that the slurry seal that has been used in parts of the town, there's some customer dissatisfaction with it. And so we're trying to look at that. Was it a matter of QC on the mix? Is it something we might, so John Lewis is doing some research on that to find out what we need to do better if it's going to be a successful customer product. And the other thing, our roads still have, like, it's cindery type.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. A lot of stuff that all ended up in garages, and a lot of them are on storm drain, and so I think we all have to.
It's still there, and it's still there. So I think and we just talked about that the other day. You know, that's not really what we're looking for.
It looks like it's pretty sure.
I literally went out there and spent probably 3 hours and I had speaking to that. And
You know, you have
everything was still that much.
Yes.
I didn't want my driving in my car and
Yeah.
it's still.
And some of that might require more intensive laboratory testing or actual field testing over final material. So we're looking into that. This year, we just completed an update of our pavement management inventory, so they just went around and surveyed all the streets. So we have an update on pavement condition, priorities, what needs to be done, how much it's gonna cost us. Yeah, we do that every 3 years so we can stay current on that inventory. And then, of course, in the summer, we do a lot of in-house paving, and then in the winter time, it's primarily same. And then we get into the construction funds, which are way back, buried in 1, 2, 3, 7 street development. So I won't go through these all individually, because they're very similar to this year. I already mentioned how several of the system development charge funds are getting pretty low. So we have to get some development happening if we're going to be doing significant projects. And the one that isn't is lower than the others is water, and that is important to keep some reserves there. It's still not terrific about it. But it's important to keep some reserves there because we're going to be looking at building a couple of reservoirs in the future to serve our Beaver Creek Road and Park Place concept plan areas. And so you just want to keep that in mind. Those are big future expenditures. We have purchased and development charges in public works, 4 of them: water, sewer, storm, and transportation. The stormwater SDC rate needs an update. It is really woefully low, and when we find out it hasn't been updated lately because we haven't done the stormwater master plan lately. And it's all been sort of sitting waiting for when are we going to finally know what we're doing with stormwater. You know, we've kind of been going through watershed approach, we've got a permit, and now that we're going to be having all these specific study planning requirements with our permit, I think it's going to give us an opportunity to recreate a capital improvement program for stormwater. Now, whether or not, how much of that is actually something that is eligible for system development charges, we'll see. But even regardless, I don't think it would hurt to do a rate update on the system, on the stormwater system development charge.
Nancy, is that an index to inflation?
Yes, they are investment. And they usually don't believe it's anything but and it's the Seattle Engineering Record. The project we do have that you will see us working on this year is the jug handle, of course. The Main Street sidewalks, we're almost finished with the design, and then we're working very hard to get our funding through an earmark through Congress. We're also looking for funding for road improvements, and we've applied for a TGM grant, Transportation Growth Management Grant, to begin an update of our transportation system plan. And we're also going to start working with ODOT on the McLaughlin Phase 2. It'll be just the planning stages for that. Then the other thing that I don't have it in the work plan, but I'm just thinking of things we need to start thinking about for water is future reservoir siting studies to figure out, we know what elevations they need to be at, but where's the land, what's available, and you don't want to put that off for too long. Then we also have some little projects. We've got a 9th and Main Street sewer separation project, and we've got an 8th Street water line replacement project. Those are little downtown projects. The other project that we were going to fund partially with stormwater system development charges was the Clackamas Cove dredging project. And now we just heard from the county today that they hadn't budgeted for their portion of that. We were under the impression that we're going to split it, and they don't have any recollection of that. So we have to, they've had a change in management, and we've never had a formal IGA, and we probably should have. So right now we're going to have to figure out if that project goes forward or not.
What's the status of the permit?
We have a permit.
The permit's been ready.
Yes.
That is paid.
Well,
Question back on the drug handle, I'm looking at the page from 208, that 22 million in stimulus money, is that, or, recovery money?
It's the state's, jobs, HTA, Jobs and Transportation Act, of 2001.
So we trickle down the very well.
No, it's not. Our projects were the promenade, restoration up here from the block, and Waterville Road. And the local Waterville Road, the street part of that.
That's what we're doing, signs that people are changing to something.
That is the JP, we have received some, earmark from Darlene Mooney and she was in others. And then we got, this was the state stimulus pack, because it is a stimulus funding, but it's from the state, not the federal. Well, on 205 or on 213, because they were doing all the paving earlier in the summer with our, yeah, that was an ODOT project.
Okay, back to that 22 million though, is that, entire project funded 22 million, or what part of the city have to pay up?
There is no local match, but we already have. What we did was we used, so far we've used Darlene Mooney money, I can call it that. And, there was also some other congressional authorization money we used on the design. We used street system development charges, and it was funneled through the transportation SPC account, which is where you see the 22 million. But when the county, moved up to the hilltop, they had to pay a Highway 213 impact fee because of their impacts on Highway 213, and ODOT was like insistent that they pay something because of the impact they would have, so it was separate from all the city fees. But ODOT left it in our hands to spend it on 213. And so we still have a little, then they also had some of their money targeted for some local city projects, like adding a right turn lane to Beaver Creek Road, eastbound at Molalla, and there's another one I can't remember right now. But so we've used that money to kind of set the project up with the right-of-way acquisition and the preliminary design, and then we kicked in the 22 million idea about the month or two. We're finishing all the intergovernmental agreements right now, and then we'll start spending the 22 million, and that'll cover the final design and the construction.
Nothing after. We'll see nothing after.
No, nothing else.
Do they get other money from the university?
No, we haven't used any urban money on that. We've got just all the construction costs, right?
That's what I want to know, that's it. Part of what we've done, like,
Yes.
anything.
No. Now we're still, where we're talking about the drug handle at Washington Street, that's 22 million. And then ODOT has told us that we also need to do some significant improvements at Redland Road because of the northbound left turn lane has an insufficient stopping. Yeah. So they actually, and then we have some improvements we want to make to Redland coming up, and we are going to be able to restripe Redland, get a little right turn lane in there. But there are some longer, bigger improvements for that intersection with adding a northbound through lane and continuing the southbound through lane down all the way to the Redland Road Bridge. So we're talking about like Redland when it comes up to 213, and then there's the Holcomb overpass, and then the Redland Road Bridge is actually further south. So those all will be another phase 2, and we have an application into Congress again as part of the Highway Trust Fund money for that. And then what's come up recently is the Union Pacific Railroad Bridge, which is at the north end, near 205. We're asking for some design exceptions because if we made everything perfect, we'd have to replace that bridge. And we're saying, wait a minute, that bridge has got lots of design. It's like it's 20 years old. It's got 80 years of design left. We've met with the trucking industry. We're working out, what's the way to make this work. And so Federal Highways would actually like that bridge to be replaced when they widened. And we're trying to not that doesn't seem to be a regional priority.
Which bridges is on that clear?
Union Pacific Railroad, you don't even understand, really.
And ODOT's actually being our partner.
Yes, ODOT's being fabulous, federal highways are the ones that are being.
Is it something over the railroad, or is the railroad going over the bridge over
The
something
railroad
else?
goes underneath 215.
So we're talking about when you talk about the railroad bridge, you're talking about a 213 overpass over that railroad.
215 overpass, yes. And, a railroad overpass would be better. And the problem is, once you get into that bridge, you start getting into the interchange itself, and we have to study, I mean, Metro and ODOT have to study that interchange before you spend money there, in my opinion. So we're working through the design exceptions, and ODOT management and their staff is helping us to get through this little, because if they wanted to widen or replace that bridge, then there's 22 million you have to that. And
Yeah, the question is what impact of this whole project on the city.
the code,
The rivers.
the rivers would have a huge impact. Anything that develops at that site, that's one of your hurdles is that the regional center development at that site, for those kind of traffic volumes,